Switching to China, as we indicated we would, my executive producer, Chris Leonard, found this for you. This is one of the world's greatest self-proclaimed experts on China from a number of years ago.
Let's understand how Mao and Zhou Enlai looked at China in 1972, at the time this new relationship with the United States took place. Why is it that Mao was to say that he liked right-wing governments? Because right-wing governments were the very antithesis of what he stood for. The answer is that as far as the Chinese are concerned, their primary interest is China, always China. That's number one. Their secondary interest is philosophy. It doesn't mean that Mao Zedong was not a very dedicated Marxist communist, call him what you want. And the same is true of Zhou Enlai. But where there is conflict between the ideology and their security comes first.
What is the current relationship of the United States to China? Can you understand what the Biden administration understands about China, its willingness to trade with us, its danger from the intemperate use of its military? What's your big picture take on this?
If I could just
comment on Nixon as you see fit, Professor.
Yeah, let me make 2 quick points about Nixon. First of all, it shows you how smart Nixon was when it came to foreign policy. And the second point I'd make about Nixon is that his comment about the relationship between ideology and security is music to my ears. States always privilege their own security. And if that means that they have to cachet their ideology, they'll do that, because security or survival is always number one. And that's what Nixon is saying, is how the Chinese think about the world. That is how the Chinese think about the world. The Chinese are realists to the core. I often tell people that when I go to China, I start my talks by saying it's good to be back among my people, because the Chinese are realists, right? And what the Chinese want to do, and it makes perfect strategic sense from their point of view, is they want to dominate Asia the way we dominate the Western Hemisphere. We have a Monroe Doctrine. We don't like distant great powers in our backyard. They don't like the United States on their doorstep. It makes perfect sense from their point of view. They want to dominate Asia. But the United States has no intention of allowing them to dominate Asia. And this competition that is now set in has an economic dimension, surrounds mainly high technologies or cutting edge technologies, and it has a military dimension. We're bent on containing China militarily. And this competition between them and us is not going to go away anytime soon.
I want to use a word that you use a lot in your writings and in your speeches, hegemony. We have had hegemony in the West. They want hegemony in the East. Are they a danger to us? Is their hegemony, their dominance, their regional dominance in the East a danger to the national security of the United States? Now, I wouldn't ask Lindsey Graham that question. He'd say yes before I finish the question.
Well, Lindsey Graham would see any country on earth that he didn't like as a threat to us and want to go to war against it.
Right. And want to start the war against it.
Yes. But no, the United States has a profound interest in making sure that it is the only regional hegemon on the planet. We do not want another state that dominates its region like we dominate the Western Hemisphere. And in the 20th century, we played a key role in putting 4 countries that were pursuing regional hegemony on the scrap heap of history: Imperial Germany, Imperial Japan, Nazi Germany, and the Soviet Union. The United States does not tolerate peer competitors or peer regional hegemons. The historical record is very clear. We want to be the only regional hegemon, and we want to have power projection capability all across the globe. The last thing we want is for China to dominate Asia so that it is free to roam around the globe with its military forces the way we roam around the globe. Most Americans don't realize this, but the reason that the United States is free to roam around the planet and cause trouble in every nook and cranny of the world is because it is a regional hegemon. We have no threats in our region, so we can move around the globe. We don't want the Chinese to be so powerful in Asia that they're free to roam into places like the Persian Gulf or, God forbid, the Western Hemisphere. So we go to great lengths to maintain a balance of power in Asia, as we have done throughout the 20th century.